16 years of marriage, 5 kids, and I found out this morning my husband has been having an affair. So I, 38F, and my husband, 39M, have been married for 16 years, together for 18. We have 5 children together, the youngest is only 5 months old. Now, he is active duty Navy and has been gone for weeks, but yesterday he came home for 2 weeks leave, but immediately wanted to go out to drive Lyft for extra money, which I thought was weird because he hadn't seen us in so long. I even joked as he left that he better not be sneaking out to another woman, ha ha ha. But he didn't come home until after 5 a.m. At 5:30, he was asleep and his phone pinged, and I look at the message, and it was a Facebook Messenger message from a woman that said, "Glad you made it home okay. I love you." And so I messaged back that I'm his wife, and who is this? And the girl spilled it. She's on his ship, another sailor. She and him have been having an affair for months, and he told her we were separated and that he loved her, blah, 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 blah. So I woke him up and confronted him, and he admitted everything. He told me that I had been difficult lately with my postpartum depression, told me that she isn't distracted by kids, and when they are together, it's just her and him. Told me she is exciting and me and him are too routine. Then, when he got done blaming me, he started blaming her, saying, "You know I have a hard time saying no to people." And I said, "Yeah, you had no choice but to sleep with her, I guess." I told him he did not have to choose between us, that she can have him. Worst of all, she's the age of my oldest, his stepson. She's 21, same age. And he said, "I never thought I would be permanent with her because I don't want any more kids and she's so young. I don't want to deprive her of that." And he had a whole ass other relationship behind my back, like a girlfriend. Like an "I love you, let's talk about a future" thing. It's so effing cliche, it hurts. I can't believe I'm like an effing Lifetime character in a special having to say, "My husband had an affair with a coworker half his age." Then I look at my infant daughter, and all I can think is that I hope she stays as far away from marriage as possible. 16 years, 5 kids, blindsided. I'm such an idiot. I'm just standing in the wreckage of my life going, what now? I told him the marriage is over and I just need a hug. All right, y'all, we're back at it. This is a tough one. As always, I don't condone cheating. In that same breath, I will also mention that, and I may get some flack here, I would never date somebody in the military. I live near Fort Bragg, okay? And I don't hear a single good thing from the women about the men from Fort Bragg. Yes, there are good dudes out there. I'm not trying to be performative, but here's the thing. I'm a dude. I don't want to date a woman from Fort Bragg, okay? I am not built for a life where my partner is in the armed services, okay? I am greedy and I want them here, not in Iraq, okay? I want to cuddle with my partner, not a picture of them. I just can't do it. I cannot do that. I'm not built for it. That's why I don't do long distance either. Been there, done that. But anyway, let's read some comments that OP talked about. Then in the comment section, OP talks more about her husband's role at work and the girlfriend and said, well, he clarified today that not only does he outrank her, but he's her work center supervisor. She's a victim, just like me. And I mean, she's the same age as my oldest child, so to me, she is just a child. I don't blame her for falling for my charming, handsome husband, especially if he lied to her. He's a predator. You should have heard the vitriol he spat about her to me, while to her, he's telling her he loves her. Women need to stick together. Put the blame on the man where it belongs. Then one user commented and said, OP, honestly, I don't think your kids will ever be able to look him in the eye. If my dad had cheated on my mom, or vice versa, that would have been the end of any relationship with that specific parent figure for me. No one needs their entire family structure and support network shaken because one of the people they're supposed to rely on or see as a safe space can't keep it in their pants. I'm sorry you're going through this, and I would straight up tell him that I hope he likes living on a boat, because that's the only home he's gonna have from now on. Yeah, my 13-year-old unfortunately heard us talking early this morning, and so he knows that his dad has cheated. Later on, he gave me a big hug and told me he wished cheating was illegal. I told him not to worry about that and that we will always have each other. And just because me and Daddy's relationship is over doesn't mean his relationship with his dad is over, and that we both love him. He said, well, I don't want to go swimming with him tomorrow, my kid. And he's been upset all day. Sucks. I hate how the kids are hurting worse than I hate how he hurt me. Then user 2 commented and said, screenshots, and take half his retirement. If you want, send evidence to his commander and he will be formally disciplined for potential fraternization. Source, I'm a former military officer. Yeah, I have been considering it. All I have are the screenshots of the Facebook messages. I'm worried if I get him in trouble, it could hurt me and the kids too. Right now, his is the only income. I am, stupidly knowing what I know now, a stay-at-home mom. We also live on base housing, and my 13-year-old depends on TRICARE for his medical needs. I'm afraid getting him in trouble would backfire on us. I need to research it more. My head, it's still spinning. Then, user 3 commented and said, "How do you have a stepson if you've been with this man since you were 18? Like, damn girl, leave him, now!" So my oldest is 21 and was a teen pregnancy with my first boyfriend in 2005. I was 17 at his birth. I met my husband in '08, and my oldest was 3. In 2013, we had our first child together, then again in 2016, 19, and 2026. And then finally, user 4 commented and said, "OP, I am so sorry. This isn't your fault. This isn't because of marriage. This is a crappy, selfish man. That's who it is. I bet he would have never told you either. Unsafe, no accountability, what a loser. And with a 21-year-old. Take all of his money and kick him out." Yeah, I already kicked him out. When I told him I don't want him sleeping here, he looked dumbfounded like that stupid Pikachu meme. Mouth hanging open and everything. Like he was so confused and he was like, "Why can't I just sleep on the couch?" I told him, "Me and you are not together, and you are not going to stay in my home, and if you won't leave, then I will call your commander in the morning." Then OP provided more information in the comment section and said, "Alright, I want to add one thing. When he was telling me what happened with her, I mentioned, weren't you concerned about getting her pregnant? And he said, no, because I pulled out. And so I said, wait a minute, does that mean you weren't using protection? And he admitted that they weren't. So now I have to get a full STD panel on top of everything else because I'm exclusively breastfeeding our daughter. And I'm sharing this because it feels like an extra violation on top of the betrayal. I'm a big proponent of informed consent, and by him withholding that he was having unprotected sex with someone else, that took away consent from me. And I just feel extra gross right now." Then user 5 in the comment section said, "OP, that's freaking rough. And when he says wants no more kids but is only using pull-out method, dude. Yeah, now you understand why we have so many kids." Then user 6 commented and said, "But did he pull out for all of your kids, OP?" Well, 2 out of 4, and for this last one, I was on the pill. I didn't know my antibiotics messed with it, so surprise! I love her very much though, and I can't imagine my life without her now. Then user 7 commented and said, "Alright, I think to protect yourself and your babies, get a lawyer first and tell them everything. Let them find out discreetly if there could be serious ramifications that could affect you and your children from going to his command, and then go from there. But either way, you deserve better. Also, you're not an idiot. You didn't do anything wrong. He sounds so selfish and unaccountable for his own actions. It's a real shame when these middle-aged men still have growing up to do. Telling you how hard your postpartum depression was for him? It absolutely sends me." So, he's mad at me because I sent a doctor's note to the ombudsman saying I had PPD, and my doctor recommended having a second caregiver in the home while I got started on antidepressants. The ombudsman sent it up to the CMC and he got out counseled. So they didn't grant him emergency leave though, but he ended up going out another 3 weeks underway. But to him, I made his life difficult by getting command involved. Thing is, since this last PCS, I have no family or friends in this state, so I had no one to help me at all. And then finally, user 8 commented and said, "Okay, OP, how young is your youngest? He gets 12 weeks of leave called parental care leave, PCL, that must be used in the first 12 months unless operational commitments affect that and CO gives a letter. Has he used it at all? Has he used it and not been staying home with you?" So, youngest is 5 months old. He took 2 weeks off when she was born, premature at 35 weeks, but that's all. Told me his CMC told him that you aren't entitled to paternity leave while on sea duty, and if they let everyone with a baby off for 12 weeks, the ship would never leave port. Of course, every word he says could be a lie, so. Update, 18 days later. So everybody, I have an unhappy update. After making him leave, I went to the chaplain for advice, and he asked to speak to both of us. I told him I wasn't interested in reconciliation, but would be willing to talk to him. My husband, though, he just cried and said he just wanted his family back. The chaplain pushed me to give him another chance and for me to sit down with him at home and have a real conversation before filing for divorce. Then, after we left that session, my husband got all of his stuff out of the house and moved in with his affair partner. Yup, even though he cried to the chaplain, he immediately moved in with her. And I thought about what to do for a long time, and then decided I cannot tolerate this, and would tell his command about the affair, and them living together. So that weekend I called him and told him what I planned to do. He started freaking out and told me he was going to take his own life, that he had nothing left to live for anymore. And at this point, I got in contact with the family advocates on base and also texted the chaplain about my concerns for his safety and the safety of me and our children. 2 days later, he came by to have our talk, and I can't share too many details from here on out, but what I can say is that I reiterated that I was informing his command and had evidence to show them, and at that point, he hit me. Tried to attack one of our children who was in the room with us, who tried to defend me, and chased us around the house like a madman. My son ran to the neighbor to get help and they called 911. Police were called and the base locked down for several hours while they searched for my husband. They found him eventually and brought him to his command where a no-contact order was put in place. Since then, I have filed for a protective order, been working with DV advocates and CPS, who was called because my child was involved. CPS has been great, by the way. They told me I was doing everything right protecting my children and put a safety plan in place that keeps him away from us. Then, as far as I'm aware, the Navy is investigating and he may face charges, non-judicial punishment or court-martial. For now, he is free to roam around and not locked away, but it's been a very scary time. The child that was involved is currently sleeping next to my bed because he is so scared, and I've taken some practical home security steps. I also called a DV shelter to try and get help there, but they told me they were at capacity and didn't have room for a mother and 4 children. And the next shelter, that was several hours away. Then school, that's also about to start. And I also have to be able to go to court, so that wasn't an option. I also cannot leave the state now because I filed a protective order, and it requires me to stay because of the children. So I'm just a sitting duck, just praying and hoping he doesn't murder us. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but here is a man who can lie like he breathes, who became violent and endangered his own child just for his affair being threatened to be reported. What happens when he faces the loss of his career, or even potentially his freedom? I wished I had a better update, but I don't. I'm scared to death. I'm working with every agency that will help me out. Police, court, CPS, advocates, legal aid, etc. And none of it matters if he shows up with a gun in the middle of the night. We live on base with them. It's not like he is far from us, and again, he is not restrained from movement. I bought a plane ticket for my mom, but she can only stay for 9 days and won't be here until the end of August. So everyone, please keep me and my children in your thoughts. I am doing everything I can to keep my kids safe. And I can't believe this is my life partner after all these years. I feel so awful for my kids. I'm just holding my baby, and I'm praying all the time for us. And I almost did an update, but I wanted to not deal with all of this alone. There's not much anyone can do, but boy, I could use some emotional support. Anyone who has been through this and made it out, please tell me that it will be okay. All right, everybody. So we have received a not very pleasant update. I'm also not too surprised that he got violent. I feel like, as I'm sure you've heard before, when a man has nothing to lose, that's his most dangerous. And he literally said that out loud. I have to be honest, and I'm not mocking OP here. If I was in this position, I wouldn't have informed the husband that I was calling command, or his superiors, or the office of evil people. I don't know, whatever it's called. That was the first thing that came to my mind when reading the comments. I was like, you should just go ahead and do it. He's already crossed the line. He's already betrayed you and, dismantled and ruined the family. Don't give him a heads up. Don't let him get away with it. If you give him a heads up, he can just take his stuff and then move out of the other girl's place, right? So again, I'm not dunking on the lady, but I don't feel like that was the right move. But I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. But let's continue and read some comments. Then in the comments section, one user said, OP, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can relate sadly to a lot of this, right down to he lies like he breathes. This is so scary, and I really hope things work out in a way where justice is served for you and your children. Is it possible for you to physically go somewhere else for a little bit? I know your mom is coming, but can you go to her instead? So, my mother, she lives in another state, and I legally cannot leave the state now that I've filed a protective order. Then user 2 commented and said, who told you that you can't leave the state? Protective orders usually list the locations he's banned from, but don't put a ban on the petitioner's ability to be safe. What's the consequence if you leave? The protection order becomes invalid? Will that matter if you're gone? And how would they find out if you left? He would have to report it, and that shows that he's trying to violate and find you. And again, what consequence is there to keep you? They're just pieces of paper in the end for both sides. So it says right here, neither party shall remove the minor children from the state of where we live, which is the jurisdiction of this court, prior to the hearing on this temporary junction. Violation of this custody order may constitute a felony of the 3rd degree under sections 787.03 and 787.04. So, took out the state for obvious reasons, but that's what my order says. Then user 3 commented and said, OP, I'm so sorry that you're going through this awful nightmare. This is a lot to handle all at once. I will be keeping you all in my thoughts, and I really hope you keep updating us. Do you have any friends on base you can stay with for a few nights here and there just to get some rest and space from the worry of him showing up? Well, I have one, but she has kids and I don't want to endanger them because he knows where she lives. Then user 4 said, "Oh god, this is the only scenario I would ever consider buying a handgun. Not saying you should, but if I were you and I was in your shoes, I would be terrified to death unless I had some physical way to protect myself and my kids that don't rely on a piece of paper. Only buy one if you are prepared to use it if necessary. And of course, keep it locked from the kids." So, regarding guns, not allowed to bring them on base. Sucks. Then user 5 commented and said, "Okay, I'm not sure if you're comfortable with this, but the Reddit community is really generous. I'm going to hazard a guess that you are either in Virginia or Florida. If you cross-post to one of those subs or even the military sub, someone always pops up offering to pay for a hotel or a spot in their home. I wish I could, but I'm struggling to get by as it is. I wish you luck, and you are definitely in my thoughts." So, I'm not looking for anything like that, actually. I genuinely just need someone to talk to. There's a thing called the Transitional Compensation Program, so if he gets separated or incarcerated for domestic violence, we will get his income for 12 to 36 months. CPS also offered me daycare vouchers, so I can search for work. And in my protective order, I'm asking for child support. Plus, our base housing, it's covered on his end. I truly just need emotional support and advice, and someone to tell me it's going to be okay. Then user 6 commented and said, "Okay, these are just a list of questions and suggestions, but do you have a security system installed? Do you have extra locks on your doors plus windows and each of your children's doors plus windows? Now, you can most likely use child locks for indoor windows, but you'll want an internal lock for each of your doors. This includes rooms that do not have windows, maybe a bathroom or a pantry. There are internal locks that are easy to remove as well, since I assume it's base housing and you may not be able to make permanent changes. Then, do you have a safe box for legal documents that you can grab and easily take with you in the case that you need to leave suddenly? In the same vein, do you have a go bag for yourself and each of your children? How much cash can you reasonably get and have tucked away just in case you need to leave? Do you have a pay-as-you-go cell phone to keep charged in your car? Also, have your gas tank full. Then, because school is starting again, you need to contact their schools and inform them of the risk their father possesses, the legal status that he may be armed, and that he is under no circumstances to be allowed to pick them up. Then, and I know these aren't the best, but maybe if your children have phones, always have them sharing their location or put an AirTag/other tracking device in their backpack. And then, and I'm not saying don't have weapons, but buying a weapon after this situation, it may not look great in a trial if you have to use them. My mama would say to buy a cast iron frying pan and use it frequently. So, I'm taking a lot of protective steps, I promise. I just can't give details in case he were to find this post. Then user 7 commented and said, man, why are men so dumb? Also, let's be a bit fair to the 21-year-old. He told her he was separated. She didn't think she was having an affair. Now that she knows, she's probably struggling to process it. Also, he lied. She's going to face a lot of repercussions than him. OP, I hope you're safe. Well, that was actually another lie. She admitted she knew, so they are both a-holes. And finally, user 8 commented and said, "Have you contacted NCIS aside from command? NCIS may be a stronger option." Well, the Navy is going after him from what I understand. Well, everyone, we have learned that this man is not a very good sailor, an awful seaman, dare I say. Also, the fact that OP can't leave is a little peculiar to me. I'm not going to pretend like I know the law, but if you want to put a restraining order on somebody like that or whatever the particular order was, and you have to, I don't know, like this seems like a perfect reason as to why there may need to be some change here. The guy is 50 feet that way. The guy who hit her is 50 feet to the left, you know what I mean? On the same base. I feel like there's gotta be a better way, or I mean, also, I'm just spitballing here, we're on a military base. Could they have some armed guards outside the house or something? I just find this incredibly peculiar legally speaking, and also just awful emotionally speaking. And whenever we have an update, I'm eager to read it, and hopefully it gets better because what the hell? I feel really bad for OP though. And the fact that he lied. Both, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. Here's some equality. Women can be awful too. Surprise, surprise. This woman knew. She's a homewrecker too. But anyway, guys, we're at the end of the video. I've let it all off my chest, but you can comment what you think and feel too. But we're at the end. Thank you all so much for watching, commenting, and have a good one. Bye-bye!